the importance of, you know, oiling, greasing your scalp goes far beyond what you think it is. Now, first of all, what I realized is that over the years of greasing and oiling your scalp, what you're doing is you're actually putting nutrients into your scalp. So, like, for example, plants need fertilizer, right, to grow, right? And so does your hair. Now, the curlier your hair is, just by a rule of thumb, the more oil and grease that it needs. So the tighter the curl is, the curlier your hair is, the more oil that your hair requires. So that's just a rule of thumb. Now, it is very important to oil your hair, grease your hair with a thicker oil in the root. You know, you want to start with your edges and you want to go all over your hair into the root to be able to grease your hair and to be able to add nutrients to your scalp, because we all know our hair grows from the root. So the root is the most important place to be able to put the grease, the oil, the nutrients, right? So you want to start from the root of your hair and you want to then put oil all the way down to the ends of your hair, okay? You want to put oil and saturate your hair with oil. Now, for example, like for me, it's a process that happens every single day. It has to happen every day, every night before you go to bed. This is the best way to have the best results and to make sure that your hair is maintained and your hair continues to grow lustrously, and your hair continues to grow for years and years to come. Now, too many times have I seen and I've heard at, for example, hair school, where they say, don't put any oil in your hair. Don't put any oil in your hair. You know, don't, like, you know, I remember going to hair school and taking the class, and I remember specifically the teacher saying, don't put any oil in your hair. And then when I, you know, went to learn about braiding and hair braiding, even though I've been doing braids my whole life, I've then heard with these professionals saying, people always say when you go get your hair done, right? They always tell you, don't put any oil in your hair. Wash your hair, but don't put any oil before you come, because if you do, the braids might slide out, right? And so even though that might be true, that the braids might slide out, I found, because I spent most of my life braiding and twisting hair since I've done my first braid at the age of 6, that the braids only fall out if you don't know how to put them in to keep them in. But what I found that you cannot say is don't oil your hair, because in fact you're telling people not to put nutrients in their hair, and that is foul. And if you don't grease your hair if you don't oil and grease your hair while you have braids in your hair, you'll get dry scalp, your hair will break off, fall off. How many times have you not put oil in your hair, and after you had that braid job done, like a month later, a week, couple of weeks later, you have no edges? You have no edges, and some of your braids, your hair's drier. So yeah, your hair grows a little bit, but your edges fall out. They fall out because of lack of moisture, lack of nutrients, and lack of, you know, grease on your scalp. All right? So always grease your hair, and I suggest you do it every single day. This is your girl, Sistah Najeebah. Peace and love.